All right, sports fans, football fans, I'm coming to you here. It's Thursday. It's late Thursday night, but right before I go to bed, I wanted to kind of just uh, preview week two, kind of give you my thoughts. I made predictions. So I have a Facebook page called GT Sports V for voting polls. And we put all kinds of stuff, NFL, NBA, but included in that is Texas high school football. It's all most of the teams are from the coastal Bend area. But eventually in week 4 and 5, we're going to move over to good matchups. But for the first 3 or 4, we're just kind of doing coastal bend. So I have a couple of teams here. I made some predictions. I just want to come out and let you guys know who I'm picking and why. I'm going to keep a record. TJ jumps in with me, and there'll be some edited stuff where you'll hear what he has to say. But he puts his picks in. I put my picks in. And in week one, going into week two, he's 13-4. I'm 13-4. So this is just all in fun. If you guys want to, chip in and talk and the conversation through the comment section, that's fine as well. I love to be able to go back and forth with anybody that wants to debate me or anything. But this is all in fun. I just want to come out, spend some time because I love football. And so tonight it'll be about my predictions, and I'll let you know why I think these teams are going to win. And we'll see at the end of the season how good I am and how much I know about football. If the research and time that I'm putting in is actually helping me, or if it's doing me no good. So right now I'm 13-4. So I had a good week one. We'll see if we have another week or two. So let's go ahead and go with the predictions because this is not a long podcast. It should be about maybe 15 to 20 minutes or so. So the first game that I'm going to talk about here quickly and tell you who I picked in week two is the San Antonio Highland Owls coming 0-1 against the Kingsville Brahmas, who are 1-0. That game is Friday. It's going to be at Kingsville. So I like what Ruben Garcia is doing out there in Kingsville. I've always said that they have talent out there. Every year they have athletes out there in that area. And so you saw now with the new hire of Coach Garcia that they're starting to put things together out there. And I think they're only going to continue to get better. They won week one, and I think they're going to win week two. Most of the people that voted for the on the GT Sports here, the peeps, also agree that we think Kingsville is going to get the win. So I'm going to go Kingsville. I just think they're going to get better every week. And I like what Coach Garcia, Ruben Garcia, is doing out there. So definitely going to take Kingsville to go 2-0, which I think is very, very big for his program this year, early in the season. Next game that we're going to pick is going to be some of the smaller schools that we're going to go to. And we're going to go to Skidmore, Tyne, and Bobcats. They lost last week. They're going to take on the Kennedy Lions. They also lost. I don't know much really about either one of these teams. Skidmore has really kind of struggled the last couple of years, but I don't know much about Kennedy. The peeps, the GT sports peeps, it's kind of evenly matched here. Some are for Kennedy, some are for Skidmore, but I chose Skidmore. I think it could go either way, but I love to see Skidmore get a win. And I think they hopefully have a shot here. So that is why I'm going with Skidmore. But I think they're going to struggle this year. I think it's going to be another challenging season for the Bobcats. But hopefully they can get a win here in week number two. I will stay with the small schools again. The next game we'll talk about the Oldham Owls 1-0 taking on the Falfurrias Jerseys. Falfurrias is always pretty good. Oldham, I think, is getting better. The last year or two, they have been kind of not as good, but not the caliber that we're used to seeing Oldham dominate in district. I don't know how better they will be, if they'll be back to that a level, but I do think they're getting better. I do think they're going to have a better season this year. I think they have a shot at the district title again. I like what I'm seeing early on. They won last week, so I'm going to go ahead and take the Oldham Owls to be 2-0 and to get that win over Falfurrias. That game will be played Friday, and that actually is in Falfurrias. So that may or may not have an effect on the game. That is a long um, drive, ride, I should say. So if it was in Odom, I'd feel a little bit better. When I looked at where the game was going to be played, I kind of went back and said, man, I don't know. But look, I'm saying that Odom is going to be better. And if that is true, they need to go out and take that ride and come back with a W. So this is going to tell me a lot. If they can come out and get the win, come back home, be 2-0 next week, then this is a team that's definitely going down the right path. If they lose to Palpurias, we'll see what happens. But I'm still going to take the Owls to get that win tomorrow night. And then out of the next game, we'll stay with the smaller schools. You have the Banquetti Bulldogs, and I've been kind of reading up a little bit more about Banquetti in the past. They have just been right at the same level, trying to take that next step. They're going to play Yorktown. The GT Sports peeps feel that Banquetti is going to get this win, so they do agree with me. There is one person that is going with Yorktown, so I don't know how much he knows about Yorktown, but look, I think this is going to be a good matchup. Banketti's coming into this game at with the win, Yorktown a loss, but the game is going to be played in Yorktown, so that's I think going to be a challenging part for Banketti. But if you want to take that next level, you got to be able to win on the road as well. So I'm taking Banketti. I'm hoping they're winning, but I think this is going to be a good battle between these two schools. Uh, the next game we'll talk about is SGA, the Santa Gertrudis Academy. Won last week, 1-0, taking on Hebbronville, 0-1. That game is going to be in Hebbronville. So a lot of our teams here traveling out, got a long ride on Friday. I like SGA, man. A lot of what I know about SGA when I read up on them has to do with their baseball program, but their football is okay too. It's not a bad program. And again, there's athletes in that area, SGA from that Kingsville area. So as a smaller school than the Kingsville High School, they do have some athletes there. A lot of athletes, like the smaller school. So they do got some athletes over there. Let's see if they can go 2-0. I think they can. But I do think this is going to be a good game. And again, I didn't read up a lot about Hebbronville, so I don't know. This game's going to tell me a lot about SGA this year. So hopefully they can get the win. The GT Sports peeps also feel that SGA can come back home with a win. The next game will be on Friday. Staying with the smaller schools, the Bishop Badgers, who lost last week, will take on the Pace Vikings, who won. I think Bishop is going to struggle. They need to get this win in week 3. They'll be traveling to Rockport Fulton to play the Pirates. I saw a stream a full from beginning to end with Rockport Fulton. They looked really good offensively in week 1. So Bishop, I think, has they're struggling. I think they need to try to get this win because they're going to have another big test and another big challenge in week 3 when they travel over to Rockport Fulton, I believe. So I hope that they get this win. But I think it's going to be another challenging year for Bishop. I think they're going to struggle again this year. I have Pace winning the game. I just don't think that Bishop is going to be able to win this game, even though it is a home game for them. I don't think. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think they're going to win this game. So I'm going with the Vikings. Most of the GT Sports peeps actually also agree and think that Pace is going to win that. So if that is true, Bishop, they don't get the win. We'll go 0-2 as they'll travel to Rockport in week number 3. The next game, it will stay with the smaller schools. You got the Mathis Pirates, who won last week. Want to know, very impressive. New coach out there. I want them to succeed, and they're off to a great start. They're going to take on George West, who lost in week 1. I like Mathis, man. Even though they're going to George West, I think Mathis is going to be a lot better this year. Like I said, they got a new coach, came in a little late, didn't know really what to expect. Still probably don't know what to expect, but they're off to a great start. And I think if they can beat George West 2-0, this is really going to say a lot about where they're at. Look, this coach that they brought in here is excited. I think he's bringing some hype, some excitement over to Mathis. And I like what they're going to do. And I think they're going to be better this year than they were last year. And they're going to continue to get better. So I like Mathis in week 2. I think they're going to beat George West. I think George West is going to go 0-2. So I know they beat Taft, and Taft's kind of struggling now, but that's still a win. and I think they can go in and get another one to start the season 2-0 early on here. So definitely it's going to be a good matchup there between George West, I think, and Mathis. As we go to the next game, sticking with the small schools, you have the West Oso Bears 0-1 taking on the Taft Greyhounds. We just talked a little bit about them 0-1, both teams needing to win. This game is going to be in Taft. Taft has not, the last 2 years, they've really struggled. And just haven't been that team that went to the third round. Ever since that year, they kind of struggled offensively. I haven't had an opportunity to talk to their coach out there or really see what's going on in Taft. I picked them last week to win, and they lost. Westoso also coming in with a new coach last year. This is the second year. I watched a Westoso game with Ingleside, and even though their record wasn't good, they have athletes over there. And I thought, and listening to people talk, I thought they were going to be better this year, right? And I still think that they will. They're going to be in a different district. We'll see how all that bears out. But to me, I think they will win. I think they will go into Taft, and they will come back with the win. So I'm looking for the West Oso Bears to get their first win of the season tomorrow against a struggling Taft Greyhound team. So I hope it's competitive. I hope it's good. But I do think West Oso is going to come out with that win tomorrow. As we move on to the next game, staying with the smaller schools, you got the CC London Pirates traveling to Refer to take on those Bobcats. Look, Odom, I'm sorry, London has great athletes. I think they're a little big in size too. Referio obviously has the speed, but Referio, this is what they do in Referio country, right? They play football. It's a great program. Coach Jason Herring has stepped down here, but Drew Cox is now the new head coach, and he's been with Coach Herring for many years. He's been there. I don't think there's really a drop off as far as the head coach. Coach Herring is still the athletic director. I'm sure he still has input, and Coach Cox has seen how it's done there. So I don't think there's going to be very much of a change or a drop. Referio won last week. London won last week. This is going to be a good one. Last year, Referio really put it to London. So I think London has coming in with a little edge, right? They don't want to get beat like that. So I think there's a little chip on the shoulder where they want to show that, hey, we're a different team this year. So I think it is going to be a good game. But I got the Bobcats winning this game. I just can't see them losing to London. They've got high expectations. They've got a quarterback now that's running their offense. It's been there for quite some time. And so I'm looking for them to get this win over London, but I do think it's going to be a lot closer. I don't think it's going to be a big win like last year. I think London's going to come in, but I think Referee will be ready. Good game, but I'm taking the Bobcats to go 2-0 early in this season. And no surprise there if they do go 2-0. Next game that we'll go into a little bit of a higher classification here in week 2 on Friday. You've got San Antonio Edison, the Golden Bears, traveling to Robstown to take on those Pickers. I've talked a lot about Robstown the last couple of years. They have gotten better. I saw some games last year. I follow a little bit. I really, really like what Coach Gage Perry is doing and his assistants over there. They got those boys playing, and they got some excitement there during the football season with the community, with their kids. I saw them last year. Putting 4 quarters together to win games was a little bit difficult for them, right? They lost some games, but they're in games. You now have to, you got to go when you play the Pickers. You got to go play, right? Before it was like, we're going to beat them. It's going to be an easy game. That is not the case anymore. If you are not ready to play, if you come out flat, that team's going to beat you. That team is getting better every year. Last year they were better, got into the playoffs. The record, not a great record, but they're getting there. They're being more competitive. If you're watching their games, they're scoring more points. They're moving the ball up and down the field. And this is a team that already won week 1, right? So they think they can win. That's part of the building process, is when your players know, hey, we can win. We can compete with anybody, and we can win. And I think Coach Perry has done a great job since he's been there. And I look for Robstown. And they when you talk playoffs, now they're in that conversation, right? And so in their district, and they're in a very tough district now with Rockport Fulton. I think is going to be better than next year. The Ingleside Mustangs, the Sitting Pirates, and the Cuero Gobblers. So 4 out of those 5 teams go. So it's not an easy task for Coach Perry and the Pickers. But I think they're going to be very competitive. And I think if you don't come and play your game against them and you have an off night, this is a team that you don't want to have that with. And they can definitely beat you. Not the same team they were 5 years ago where you can just go in there and have an easy night. That is not the case with them anymore. So I'm looking for them to go 2-0. And I don't know much about Edison, the Golden Bears, but I do know where Robstown is. And look, they're still getting better. I'm not saying by any means they're going to go 2 or 3 rounds in the playoffs. I'm just saying they are getting better every year. And when you play them now, they're not that same team where if you don't come in, they're going to beat you. They're starting to believe now that they can play with some of the good programs here, and that makes them dangerous. And I think they got a leader down there. I'm talking about Coach Perry, who's building that confidence in them. So last year when I saw them, they were different. Like I saw them play Ingleside last year. Ingleside did come up with the big win, but in that first half, there was a struggle for Ingleside in that offense. They were playing, they were going toe to toe for a half with them. It went to the second half that Ingleside pulled away with that offense that they had. But for one half, Ingleside was really under, hey man, what's going on here? They were playing and they were moving the ball. So I think this year you're going to see more of that. And like I said, they're getting better. So loving what Coach Perry's doing out there with the Pickers, and look to see what they're going to do in the next couple of weeks. And obviously, I'm going to be seeing them when they get in the district. We cover the Ingleside Mustangs football. We also got our partners there in Rockport with the Pirates Cove Sports Network, who also are in the district and cover them. So we're going to be talking a lot of Robstown Picker football, man. But I think in week 2, they definitely are going to get the win, and that's another. If they go 2-0, that's another big confidence builder for these kids down there. So the peeps also agree with me. The GT Sports peeps, they think Robstown's going to get the win and go 2-0. Next game we'll talk about Port Lavaca Sand Crabs traveling to Sinton to take on those Pirates. The Calhoun team got a win last year, but this Sinton team, believe it or not, is a lot different than last year. And they were really good last year. You know, they went to the 3rd round of the playoffs, I think, or 4th round. I'm not exactly sure, but this team, believe it or not, I think is even better than they were last year. A very dangerous team. Talking about Sinton offensively, they can score multiple ways, man. I mean, they got a running back. They can throw the ball. Quarterback can beat you with his legs, with his hand, with his arm. There's not really much offensively that Sinton cannot do. Defensively was kind of the question. They lost a couple of key players. They're kind of young. What would that defense look like? I saw them in the scrimmage. Damn, that defense looked good. Even though Beeville, they beat them 48, I believe, to 6 or 8. Beeville is not the same team right now that they were last year. But nonetheless, they took on a team. Sit and did what they were supposed to do. And so even though I like Port Lavaca's run game, coached very well out there, I think they're going to have a difficult time. They're coming into Sinton, but Sinton's playing with so much confidence. And like I said, they can beat you multiple ways. I think it can be very close if Port Lavaca can keep that Sinton offense out, and with that offense, just move the ball and control time of possessions, because the more time or the more chances that you give that Sinton offense, I just don't think Port Lavaca's defense is going to be able to stop them. Not too many teams around the area can. So to me, it's kind of running the ball, controlling the line of scrimmage, moving the ball, and scoring, and limiting that offense. And don't put your defense out there more times than need be to give yourself a chance to win. Because if you're 3-and-out, turnovers, you're not going to beat Sinton this year. The more time that offense gets out there, they're going to eventually score more times than not. So for Port Lavaca, I think what they have to do to try to win. But I just think Sinton's going to find a way to win. I mean, I just think they are a different team this year. They're poised to get out of the region, and they know what they have to do. And man, they have looked good in scrimmage, and they have looked good in week 1. And I don't see that slowing down. So I'm taking the Sinton Pirates. The GT Sports peeps feel the same way, but I'm hoping it's a good game. My thoughts, that's the way I think Port Lavaca can stay in the game. So we'll see what happens. They do got a run game over there. It's when you look at Port Lavaca, it's no surprise what they do, and they probably run an offense that in the past has given that Sinton a team some trouble. So that might be something there to look forward to. But I just think Sinton's offense is going to be able to pull away at some point, and Sinton will end up winning the game. We'll see what happens, but I'm taking the Pirates to win that game on Friday over Port Lavaca. Next game we'll talk about, that was a game that was played tonight. I was watching that on the stream at the Beaver Jones Trojans traveling to Orange Grove to play the Bulldogs. That was in Orange Grove. Orange Grove lost, coming in 0-1, lost a close game. I had a great comeback against the Rockport Pirates last week. And they can throw the ball, man. They got a great quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the Coastal Bend area. Not many people talk about him, but we definitely know him. We saw him last week playing, man. He's a stud, and he's got skill receivers that he can get the ball to, that they can score. They've got a running back. I just think that the depth to me is what I saw, the way Rockport was able to beat them. So how was Beaver going to fare with them? Because I thought Beaver had depth, kind of like the size of Rockport. So I didn't know if that was going to be something that was going to affect them. Because Johnston, the head coach there for the Bulldogs, had them ready. I mean, they punched Beaver in the mouth to start off with and never gave them a chance. I mean, quickly they were able to score. Beaver struggled, a couple of turnovers, 3 and outs. Couldn't get anything going offensively. So they jumped on them pretty early. You go something, the final score 27-0, but they scored 20 plus points pretty quickly. And then that defense for Orange Grove held. Beaver's offense I don't know what they ended up with. I'll check the stats tomorrow over the weekend, but they definitely struggled offensively. Could not get anything going in the run game or anything. So kudos to that Orange Grove defense and offense, because they played Friday and having to turn around and play a game on Thursday. But they were really prepared. They looked fresh. They looked ready to go. Beeville just struggled. Like I said, they're still trying to get that passing game going, not very effective. And when they ran the ball, they couldn't do anything. So a shutout for Beeville, something that you're not used to seeing from those Trojans. But I do think that they're going to get better. New coach, new system. It's going to take some time. Look, the one thing about Beaver is they have athletes over there, right? So I don't think it's going to be like this the rest of the year. They are going to get better. They're going to figure things out. But for the Beaver Trojans, they are in a very tough district this year where it's not going to get very much easier. So even if they do get better, their teams that they're going to play are going to be tough pretty much week in, week out. So they've got to get better here quickly. But again, it is a new system that they're running with a new coach. And so that is going to take some time. So will they be able to do anything in district? We'll find out. But definitely a shutout here and not being able to score is not something that we are accustomed to seeing from the Beaver Trojans. But a great win there by Orange Grove as they get the win tonight, 27-0, I believe is what I saw there. So Beaver drops to 0-2. Orange Grove 1-1, and the GT sports peeps all week long were kind of even. Some people thought that Beaver was going to win. Others thought Orange Grove. So I don't know exactly who picked what, but it was pretty much evenly matched up at about 50-50 or something like that. The next game we'll talk about, you have the Gregory Portland Wildcats. They'll play at home. They'll be playing against Laredo Alexander. Oh, by the way, I did take Orange Grove to win that game. So I was right on that prediction. But Gregory Portland, let's talk about them. They played against Cal Allen. It was closer. I didn't go to the game. I know they were able to make a comeback in the fourth quarter. It fell a little short. It's always a good game between Cal Allen and Gregory Portland. So Cal Allen gets to win, but GP is a good team. I think they're definitely going to make the playoffs. It's going to be very interesting when they get into their district. I think they're going to kind of roll. One team that I think is going to be the districts is going to go between those two teams. But losing the Cal Allen, I think they're going to come out tomorrow ready to go. They're at home, first home game of the 2024 season. So I think it's going to be pretty good. I think they played in Cal Allen, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they're going to beat Laredo Alexander, man. I really do. And I think they're going to beat them pretty good. And so I'm taking GP to win this game. They're going to make the playoffs. How far are they going to go? I want to see a couple of games in the non-district because I think their district, like I said, they're going to run over them. So I want to see what they're going to do. They're going to play some good teams in the non-district. So that's going to tell me a lot before they get into district what kind of team they're going to be this year. But I think they're going to be tough, man. And I think in week 2 they're gonna get the win over Laredo Alexander. And I think next week GP is going to be 1-1. All of the GT sports peeps that voted also believe that the Gregory Portland Wildcats will be 1-1 next week. Now we'll go into the next game, our bigger schools. The CC Moody Trojans traveling to Laredo to play Sigurora. They had a game against Toloso Midway in week 1, and they were real competitive. I mean, TM has what I think is probably the top 3 or the best running back, top 3 for sure in this area, Coastal Bend and Damian Figueroa. But I thought that they played pretty good. They run the slot T, an offense that, I think Moody's getting better. They have some studs over there, but I thought the defense played pretty good, even though they gave up a lot of yards rushing to TM's rushing attack. They put themselves in a position to win the game like 28-14. I mean, you got an opportunity, and I think as a coach, that's what you want to see. You want to see, Moody's kind of struggled the last couple of years, really. I think this year they got an opportunity. There are some open playoff spots that I think Moody is one of the schools that I think can compete with that. So that should excite them a little bit. So getting the loss to Toloso Midway uh, was probably not something they wanted, but they were competitive 28-14. That's close there. So we'll see. I do have them winning. I had them lose. I had them not taking the W against Toloso Midway, but I think I'm going to go with them. I actually am going with them. Like I said, they got to go on the road, but they've got to win at some point, right? Why not on the road against Laredo Figueroa? So I'm very interested to see how they're going to play. But I thought they competed with Toloso Midway, a team that has a lot of size. They're physical, a good running game, and to be able to be in that game kind of gives me a little bit of confidence that after seeing Toloso Midway and those guys, excuse me, I think they got an opportunity. So I'm definitely going to take CC Moody on the road to beat Laredo Figueroa. The next game, when I talk to people about this, they said, "Man, you're crazy," but I'm not joking. San Antonio, Brackenridge, the Eagles taking on the CC King Mustangs. Look, I went King just simply because I want them to win, right? I know what the records say. I know how King's been struggling, but look, we've got to win some games. Our Corpus schools, they're going to have to win at some point, right? And so they're going to be playing in Corpus Christi, and why not, right? Why not? Let's get a win here early in the season. And let's see how that builds up the confidence to see how the rest of the season is going to go. People think I'm crazy, but why not? That's my question. Why not? Why can't they win? Why not them? Why can't they go out there and win? People are going to say what they're going to say. People think I'm crazy, and maybe I am. But I'm going to take the King Mustangs, man, to get a win over San Antonio. We'll see what happens, man. Maybe it's a pick that I shouldn't have done, but I want to see them win. And so my vote's going to go to them. And hopefully next week I come on, I can say that we won. That King won the game. That's what I'm hoping for. Next game that we go into, that's the CC Veterans Memorial Eagles. 0-1, lost to Miller. A lot of changes going on at Vets. Look, I've had conversations with people, and I'm going to play a little clip that TJ and I, when we talked about this game, because it was kind of very, very interesting, a very interesting conversation on record and off record. But he's going with CC Carroll Tigers. I'm going with CC Veterans Memorial. So I'm going to tell you my part. I think Veterans Memorial is not the team of the past, right? They have been totally dominating for so many years here in the coastal in the Corpus Christi area since they came into existence. With the Miller Bucks, they have been the 2 top teams in the last 5 years here in the Corpus Christi area. Vets is not at the caliber that we are accustomed to. People are accustomed to these guys dominating. So when you see even Miller, that we came in week 1 and destroyed them, right? People start, oh, they're not the same team, and they're not. That is still a very good program with great coaching. They just didn't win because they had athletes. They did, but they have good coaching over there. They're a very disciplined team. I've seen them the last couple of years, right? And so, yeah, they're not at the caliber, but I still think they're a good team that can still beat good teams. And Carroll is an up and coming team. And I think they're going to be really good in the next couple of years. But they haven't shown me anything up to this game that tells me that they could beat Betts, right? You haven't been in the playoffs. So yeah, even though you've been competitive in certain games, and they have been competitive with Vets, Vets has shown that they can win. And I don't think it's just because a quarterback isn't there, or there's a few players that graduate. They've always had players that have graduated. Their program is good. Their system is good. They've got good coaches there. Those coaches can adjust and make those players better. So will they be that top team that will go 4 rounds plus in the playoffs? Probably not this year. But I think they're still a very good team that's coached very well. They're disciplined. And I'm talking about team oriented. They don't win. Vets does not win because of one player. They win as a team. They got good defense, good offense, good special teams. They play hard every game. So that's why I think they can still be competitive and win some games. Definitely not at the caliber that we're accustomed to seeing them, but still a very good football team. Now, when you flip over to the Carroll side, I'm not against Carroll. I want to see this team win. I mean, I want to see Corpus Christi schools get better because I want to see great competition. I don't want to see an 0-10 record from any Corpus school. I don't want to see a 2-8, right? I want every game and I want every school in the Corpus Christi area to be competitive. And I think Carroll is there. I think they're going to continue to get better. So I think this is going to be a good game between Veterans Memorial and the Carroll Tigers. Can Carroll win the game? Absolutely. But I think Vets, because I've seen what they're doing, what they've done in the past, and because I know, and I think that they're a very disciplined team. They're very well coached. I still think they could beat Carroll, whether they've got a talent, whether they don't, whether their quarterback's there, whether there's a change. That is still a team that can beat you. And so I'm taking the CC Veterans Memorial tomorrow. Actually, they played today, and I don't know. I didn't come up, so I got to see what happened there, right? But I just saw that Thursday. I thought they were going to play Friday. So I'm going to check it out and see what happened, and I'll put it up on the comments. But again, I took Vets. TJ took Carroll. And if I lost, I'm probably, going to hear from him. He'll probably text me. My phone's been ringing, so it's probably him now if he found out and I hadn't answered it. But I just saw that it was Thursday. I thought for some reason I thought it was Friday. So we'll see who won, right? We'll see if it was Carroll or Vets. I was watching the Orange Grove Beeville game. But again, no matter what, Carroll won. That's great. But I like Vets. I think Vets is well coached. And look, this is what's going to tell us how good the coaching is out there, right? Can they turn their season around? Look, they played Miller in week 1. Miller probably would have destroyed 90% of the teams like they beat Vets. Miller's a very, very good team that can beat a lot. I think there's only one team, maybe 2 or 3, but a sitting team maybe that can be competitive with them. But anybody, a lot of teams around this area that play Miller probably going to see the same results that Vets saw in week 1. So again, we'll see what happens. As soon as I get off this podcast, I'll check and see, and I'll write the score down here. But I took Vets. We'll see if I'm right. TJ took the CC Carroll Tigers. We'll see what happens there. Most of the peeps, though, the GT Sports peeps, believe that there was a couple of votes for Carroll, but most of them thought that the CC Veterans Memorial Eagles were going to win. We'll see if we were right. The next game that we'll talk about, the Flower Bluff Hornets playing at home against San Antonio Marshall. A lot of San Antonio schools traveling down this way to play our Coastal Bend teams. Flower Bluff is one of the best teams and has been one of the best teams for the last couple of years here in the Coastal Bend. Nothing's really changed this year. They got a great quarterback in Pelucio. They always have skill positions. They're always well coached, well-rounded team. So I think in week 2, they're going to go 2-0. I don't see San Antonio Marshall beating them. So I'm going to take Flower Bluff in this game, and I think that they're going to be 2-0 when we talk next week. The next team that we'll talk about are the CC Miller Bucks. They'll be playing at home. They're taking on the Seguin Matadors. I don't know very much about Seguin other than they've kind of have a mediocre season, I believe, but they're playing probably the best team coming into the Coastal Bend area, man. And it's just going to be tough. I think it's going to be another blowout, like what we saw in week 1 with Betts and Miller. Miller can just score multiple ways, man. I mean, Justin Evans has so much talent out there. They have depth. The defense the last couple of years has now gotten better, right? And it's not easy to run over that defense. So it's not a high scoring offense, and you score, then we score, we try to outscore you. That Miller defense can play and hold good offenses, right? And when you look at that Miller, like we talked about Sinton, they can score multiple ways, right? They got a great quarterback that can do many things. They've got some good receivers. They've got a couple of running backs. They can score multiple ways and beat you multiple ways. And that's why they're dangerous. And so I don't think I can see Seguin coming in here. Beat Miller one, but I don't think it's going to be very competitive. No disrespect to Seguin, but I just think Miller's at another level, like I think Sitton is. And I don't think they're going to slow down. I think they're going to continue to do what they did in week one to Vets. I think they're going to the same results for Seguin. So I'm looking for Miller to get another win on Friday, go 2-0, and I think it's going to be a big one for the Miller Bucks. Now, week three, when we talk, might be a different story there for the Miller Bucks. We'll talk about that next week. But for week two, I think they're going to definitely beat Seguin, and the GT Sports people all believe the same thing, that Miller will go 2-0 in this early season. Now, the next game we're going to talk about, pretty interesting here. You got the Alice Coyotes at home taking on the visiting Calallen Wildcats. Calallen with a new coach out there, got that win against Gregory Portland, which I think is a good win. I've been saying this about Calallen, right? They're going to get better. What you're seeing now won't be the same team you see in week 7. I believe they're going to be better. They usually do get better. New coach, new era, and off to a great start, man. And so I believe that they're going to continue to get better, and the better they get, the more dangerous they become, right? The Alice Coyotes, I had a podcast with Coach Cameron Cox, who's the offensive coordinator there for Alice. Alice beat Cal Allen last year, but they lost a lot of players. And one thing Coach Cox told me, if you didn't, listen to the podcast, was a lot of new faces there, especially on the offensive side. But he says we're athletic, so very excited about the athletes that he had. He thinks they can pick up a lot quicker. And so even though the experience isn't there like it was last year, there's athletic kids. They're good athletes. He said we got some athletes down here, and that excites him for what this season can bring. And then, of course, we don't talk a lot about their quarterback, but that quarterback over there is really good. You look at his stats; he can throw. He is their stud. And Coach Cox said, if you go look at the games, it's not just the stats, but it's how he manages the game. And a couple of big games that he won last year was because of that offensive line, he said, and his quarterback. So they've got a quarterback out there that's very, very dangerous. I think this is going to be a good game. I know Cal Allen's coming in. Those kids want to win. They lost to Alice. I know that the Alice fans and the Cal Allen fans, really make it interesting. I saw a lot of the back and forth last year. So it's going to be a lot of that. If that's not happening already, I'm sure it is. But I got the Alice Coyotes, man. I like Cox. I think his offense is good. I think they're coached very well out there. I think both teams, before Cal Allen, it's a new coach that has just spent a couple of months there with him, where Castellano and Cox have had a year that was very successful last year for him, and then they've had an off season. So there's a bit of an advantage as far as coaching with Castellano, Coach Cox offensively, and those guys down there, to be able to see what they've got coming on in build, where Coach Reeves has come with Cal Allen. He's only had a couple of months and still trying to pull a lot of things together. So if they're playing in week 7, this might be a whole different story, but this is, week 2. So both teams still trying to figure it out. Like I said, new coaching staff for Cal Allen trying to figure things out. Alice got their coaching there, but lost a lot of players last year, a lot of new faces. But, Coach Cox says, look, I got some athletes here. So I think it's going to be a very good game. I have the Alice Coyotes winning simply because they're at home. But I think it's going to be a great one, man. So yeah, I'm not going to be able to be out there, but man, if you go out there and watch that game, you're going to watch a dang good game between two good teams that I think are both going to be in the playoffs and make a good little run here this year. So that's going to be a good game. It always is. The fans also make it very interesting. The Cal Allen fans and the Alice fans, man, they go at it, and it's always fun. So, as long as it's in fun and nobody gets hurt, man, root for your team and talk a little bit of BS there. It's good for football. I love to do it as long as they don't get out of hand, man. It's good. It's good to love your team. and be able to support that team. So I think it's going to be a good game. But I've got the Alice Coyotes and the GT Sports peeps also believe that the Alice Coyotes are going to get that win and go 2-0. Both teams coming in with a win last week, 1-0. So we'll see what happens. The next game we'll talk about is the CC Ray Texans going to Toloso Midway to take on the Warriors. So we do a podcast there with Coach Gabriel every week. So I'm in tune with what they're doing and kind of, if you haven't seen the podcast, so I talked to him. We talk TM Warrior football every week. And look, I think TM is going to be in the playoffs. They hopefully will be able to compete for a district title. The coach still has a lot of work to do. He's on the defensive side. Coach Uriel, that is, he's talked a lot about a lot of new faces there. Offensively, we know the run game. We know what they can do. I think the quarterback is getting better this year than he was last year. BB Brayson Bazell and coach has talked about some of the things he wants to see from his offense, but defensively, they're still trying to get their identity in week 2. They're still trying to figure out who they're going to be. And that's probably going to take a couple of more weeks. But that Moody game, Coach Burriel was not very happy with the way they played. I mean, a win's a win. He got his first win actually of his head coaching career as a head coach, athletic director. But we really wasn't. I mean, he thought that they didn't play up to the standards that he wanted them to play. But it is week 1, and he understands that they still got to get better. So this may be a better game than what most people think, with the Ray Texans coming in and the TM Warriors still trying to figure out their identity on defense. But I got the TM Warriors winning. I mean, I think when you look at rushing, they can run the ball, and that's what really impresses me. And I think that offense is going to continue to get better. Those guys up in that front line are going to control the line of scrimmage in a lot of games that they play. And when you have that running back there, when you have a lead that you can lean on, and it's not just him, but he's the main guy that can continue to move the chains. And Coach Berry always talked about, look, I want to, if we can go deep and score quickly, he loves that, right? But he also wants to be able to see his offense move the chains, right? Control the clock. And they've got that with that big offensive line and probably one of, if not the best, one of the best running backs in the backfield in Junior Damian Figueroa. So they've got ways they can beat you. We saw the quarterback last week at 85 yards rushing, so he's starting to run a little bit more when that presents himself. It's on the defensive side that Coach Burriel said is still, trying to get an identity. So in the next couple of weeks, they're going to be able to continue to try to pick things up, get a little bit better. And I think by when we get into week 4, week 5, if not sooner, he'll have his 11 guys. But the defensive side, he did say, still trying to work on some things. A lot of young guys down there, a lot of kids going 2 ways too, which I think is going to help the defense once they get into district. So you're going to see a lot of guys going 2 ways, offensively and defensively. And coach says, look, the best players got to be on the field. It's what makes sense to him, makes sense to me. So we'll see how this goes. But with the Ray Texans coming in, I just still think TM is going to be too much for Ray. And I look for them to get a couple of touchdown win here over the Texans, where TM will go 2-0 early in the season. The next game that we'll talk about, you have the Rockport Fulton Pirates taking on the San Diego Vaqueros. Let's go to San Diego first. San Diego, a very good football team, but Coach Bo Ochoa has done one heck of a job there for the Vaqueros. They have been good the last couple of years, and this year's going to be no different, right? Those boys are ready to play. And I think it's going to be a tough game. This is by no means going to be an easy game for either one. I'll go to the Rockport side now. I didn't know going into the season what Rockport was going to do with a new coach and Coach Eric Sosa now. I saw the running back that Rockport had last year. I knew what was coming back last year. I knew that offensive line, a lot of those guys were going to come back. So even though in a season that wasn't very good for Rockport Fulton, a lot of those players were going to come back. So when Coach Sosa was hired, I knew that he was going to be coming and bringing in the slot T. And Rockport had ran the slot T under Coach Seibert here for many years. So it's an offense that a lot of the kids are familiar with. So I thought, hey, look, I think if we can do anything this year, it'll be run the ball, right? Because we've done that before. We've been a running team for almost 10 years. So in week 1, I wanted to see how well we could run the ball. Well, we scored 42 points. So it tells you how good that we can be offensively in week 1. But I think there's multiple running backs that coach has. So he runs by committee, right? So he can go multiple different running backs. And I think what helped out there was that they come in fresh. They come in and out, in and out. They don't miss a beat. The offensive line was big. They controlled the line of scrimmage, wore down, I believe, that Orange Grove defense. Defensively, gave up some big plays. We were in control pretty much the whole game. And every time Orange Grove scored, Rockport came back and scored. So I don't think they were ever really in any danger of losing the game until maybe the last a couple of minutes in the fourth quarter, where some things kind of went a little bad there for Rockport. Some kind of I don't want to say mistakes, but just some mental stuff that happened that they were able to take advantage of and make the game a lot closer. And look, they were real close to winning. That's Orange Grove, but a great stand, because that defense, when they had to come up with two big plays, they did. And I think that is going to carry them into the San Diego game with a lot of confidence, knowing that they can make the stops when they need to, because they did it last week. Although I think San Diego is going to be a different type of team and very dangerous. I do think Rockport can run. The one thing that I saw and I heard down here is that the depth that really had an effect on Orange Grove. Will Rockport be able to do that against San Diego? You'll have to go to the game or tune into the Pirates Cove Sports Network with Rick and Rob and see the game there. I think it's going to be good, though. If Rockport can run the ball effectively and move those chains, I think they give themselves a very good chance to win, because I think the defense is going to play better. Not that they played bad in week one, but those mistakes, I think you're not going to see that in week two. So I think the defense will play better. But for Rockport Fulton, if we can run the ball effectively like we did in week one, I think we're going to give ourselves a good chance to win that game. Weak as I'm from Rockport, but I do think it's going to be a good game. And San Diego comes in 1-0, getting a win in week one. Rockport Fulton also. So it's going to be a good one, man. I can't be there, but I'm definitely going to be paying attention to it on the stream. So again, going to be a good one, but I'm taking Rockport Fulton to go 2-0, which I think is huge for this team and the confidence of the kids based on what we did last year, going 2-0, possibly then in week three, win another one, going 3-0. I think it's a big confidence booster here for our players. So looking for them to get that win on the road. Won't be easy against the San Diego Vaqueros. And then the last game that I'll preview here are the Ingleside Mustangs. That is the game that we will be at, taking on the Aransas Pass Panthers. So you can catch that game. I'll be there calling that game. You can catch it on the MPND Sports Network, our Facebook page. That's where we're going to have it on tomorrow night, myself and TJ Riddell. But look, Aransas Pass gets a big win on Thursday against Rivera, a smaller school. They should have won. But this is a big building confidence for that team, because they have had more losses than wins in the last couple of years. So being able to start the season off, it doesn't matter who you play, but being able to get that win and win the way you did, shutting them out and putting 50 points up on the scoreboard, that is a confidence builder going into week two. So I would imagine that Aransas Pass has had a great week. The coach is feeling good. Players are feeling great. And look, confidence speaks volumes to me, right? So now that they know that, hey, we can play and we can play good and we can win, that becomes a dangerous team. So they'll be looking to come in there and really compete with Ingleside. For me, I was at the Ingleside game. We lost a couple of players last year that were really big time for us, but Coach Chrisman, we do a weekly podcast with him. He said, look, man, we're going to run by committee. And that running game was good. We saw Roman Davila, we saw Aaron Flores really control and run hard and physical. The offensive line did a great job from beginning to end. And there were other running backs that were effective as well. The quarterback, Sawyer Chalk, is a kid that's really big, and he can run the ball. So they have three running backs plus that can really pound the rock, wear down those defenses, and just make you pay. We saw that in week one. What was really impressive to me was the defense. The defense shut down LaFedia. They really couldn't get anything going from beginning to end. And when they did get a little bit of momentum and they were close to scoring, that defense shut them down. And even in the fourth quarter, when the game pretty much was in Ingleside's hands, they still wanted that shutout and played hard to the very end. So the defense, very impressive to me. That secondary with Jordan Smith and those guys have got a good secondary down there. You're not going to be able to just throw on those guys And I think it's going to be hard to run against this Ingleside defense. So I'm looking to see how Ingleside is going to respond in week two. They pretty much beat down Aransas Pass last year, but this is this year. So I want to see how they're going to come out, what the mental part of the game for them is. But I liked what I saw from Ingleside in week one, and they come out with that same attitude and mindset where, hey, we're going to come play. It is going to be very hard to beat them. And again, I love the run game. I think the pass game, it didn't come in week one like I thought it was. It's going to take some time. We've got a quarterback there that first time playing the position, so it's going to take some time for him. But on the flip side of it, the run game was very effective. I believe that Coach Chrisman will once again try to control the clock, have his offensive line control the line of scrimmage, and he's going to run these boys and control the time and move the clock and try to score that away. So I think you are going to see some passing, but I'm going to be very interested to see what the Ingleside defense is going to do to that Aransas Pass offense. I think it's going to be tough, and even though Aransas is coming off of a win, I still believe that Ingleside is going to be too much for Aransas Pass. And I give Ingleside the win here to go 2-0 early in the season. But it's going to be a good one, and we're going to be out there. So, again, if you can't get out there and you want to check out the game, you can catch it on the MPND Sports Network. That's our Facebook page for week two. And TJ Riddell will be commentating that game. So definitely check it out if you want to. If you can't make the game, I think it's going to be a good one. But again, I have Ingleside winning this game, and I have them winning it by a couple of touchdowns. Let's see if I'm right. So that'll end my predictions for week two. As I said, I am 13-4. TJ Riddell is 13-4. Please share the polls. You can go to Facebook. I do have it on Twitter, but Facebook is where we kind of do all of our votings and stuff there. So every week starts on the weekend. You can go to the GT Sports V Poll Facebook page. Just kind of scroll down. You see NFL stuff. You see all kinds of stuff there. But look for a week three next week for teams and matchups, and then vote. And I want to know who you think is going to win. And if there's a team that you want out there that we're not putting out there, send me a message through Messenger, through Facebook. And hey, how about this team? Can you put this team? I'll definitely take a look at it. I'll put it up that week to vote for it, and I'll do my research to come talk about it here like we do on Thursdays. I'll try to do it on Wednesdays. Well, it's probably gonna be Thursdays. I'm gonna try to get it earlier because Wednesdays I'm really busy with a lot of podcasting. But definitely participate, man. This is all in fun. This is, we're not looking for sponsorships for this. We're not looking to do anything. We're just coming out here because those football fans, they love talking. It's just all in fun to be able to talk, make predictions, kind of keep a score and see who knows what, make, kind of go back and forth with each other. But it's just a lot of fun. So if you love football, if you love volleyball, if you love basketball, like I said, we do everything from college to NFL to professional sports to high school sports. We put up volleyball posts up there. We'll put up basketball posts, baseball posts. That's high school softball when we get to those sports. But right now we're doing volleyball and football. So we're starting to put volleyball posts out there, and we do football, high school. So definitely come in. And like I said, we do the NFL as well, college. So anything you want to talk about, send me a message or let's talk about that, or let's have some fun making predictions and talking about these teams, especially if there's a team here that you do want to talk about and you want to let us know how that team's going. Don't be scared. Don't be shy to write a comment there. I'll respond back to you. Believe me, I will. It may take a day or two, but I'll eventually get to it because I love talking sports. And right now, sports kind of taking over my life. I do sports 24/7. So I'm going to go ahead and get off. I got to get to bed and get up at 4:00 in the morning, but I'll definitely look at that Vets Carroll game and see who won. Again, I was taking bets, but I did see the Beeville Orange Grove, and Orange Grove looked tough in week two. Beeville early on, definitely not the Beeville Trojan team that we saw last year, but I do think that they will eventually get better as the season goes. So thank you. Once again, this is the first time that we're doing this. We missed week one, but we're not going to miss week two, right? And we're not going to miss week three or beyond. So definitely be expecting me to come back on Thursday, next Thursday, early on before the game start, so I can make my predictions. I'll let you know what my record is after 2 weeks, and then kind of tell you who I'm picking in week three, what the matchups are, We're going to be putting more stuff as we get into week 4 and 5. There are going to be matchups that are going to be out of the Coastal Bend area. Maybe we'll go to the Dallas area, the Houston area, but any matchups during the weekend and week that we think are going to be good, we're going to post it on there to give you guys an opportunity to vote and let us know who you think is going to win. So play along. It's a lot of fun, man. If you got the time, it's great. So thank you for tuning in. This will be uploaded here tomorrow and before game time starts, so you guys can see who I picked before those games are played on Friday. So again, you'll see me on this podcast next Thursday. Try to get it in earlier before the game started at about 7 o'clock. And you can catch all that here on the GT Sports Repos, Facebook page. So we'll see you next Thursday. Have a great night.